Well, good morning, July 1st, 2020, Monday morning. We're going to try this. Hopefully the glare ain't kicking too much off the window over here. I'm in my FRC's hot, heavy at a refinery trying to get unloaded. I'm going to do the thoughts video while I'm sitting here and waiting because I've got two trucks I've got to unload with me first. So, got my notes. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, and at the end of it I've got some understanding and thoughts of my opinion. And well, let's just get this out of the way. This is my opinion, my looking up. I give some sources to it. I'm doing this video earlier in the day so I can hopefully try to go in there in the editing process and add some of the links that I found on here, like the articles that I got it down in the descriptions. Like I said, we're going to try. Hopefully it's successful. Of course, I got to do the video first, and that comes into the editing side of it. Did one a couple weeks ago. My phone would allow me to do one, and even though the phone's great to record, it don't always necessarily let you put a whole bunch of stuff down in there for the stuff. So then I have to download it, and I have to find the internet, and find the laptop and turn it on, and then hopefully it'll all work out. But as of yesterday's numbers, because today's ain't come out, it is what, 10 o'clock, and they won't come out till about noon. Total cases in the state of Oklahoma is 6,506. Total deaths was 334 at that time. For Sunday, there was no new deaths. Recovery numbers, 5,492. So if you take your deaths and your recovered number, that's 5,826. If you take that number and subtract it from the total active cases, or the total case count that has been positive, which would be 6,506, gives you a total of 680 active cases this morning. That is almost 400 less cases than a week ago when I did the video. So, what is going on this week? Something really exciting. SpaceX launched, first time in almost 10 years, American astronauts from the Kennedy Space Station, Space Center in Florida, to the space station. Watched the launch. That was cool. Next morning they were docking. That was a long process. While that was going on, got to watch part of it. This one guy sent me, he says, the announcers and the TV newsmen shut up, we could hear what they were talking about, which I have to agree with on that. Things that were in the news earlier this week. Twitter was trying to censor Trump by fact-checking him. Okay. So let's get into this, because Trump signed an executive order about social media saying they will lose their special privileges under Code 236, I think it is. I didn't look it up, but you can look it up. They have special protections. Do that. They can't be sued and some other stuff because they are a platform. They're not an editor. They're not a publisher. They're not anything. Well, according to the law, when you start censoring people by saying you can't post that, or this is not correct, or this is not in our guidelines, you become a publisher and editor. And when you cross that line, it's very tricky, because two things are going to happen. They're going to start censoring the crap out of everybody, or they're going to back up and say, okay, yes, we're media, we don't want to lose our legal protection to where somebody can't sue us because we edited their opinion. And I think they just need to go back to the media based and say, yeah, we're just a platform. Everybody does their stuff out there, because freedom of speech says it don't have to be right. I can voice my opinion. No, you don't have to like it. No, I don't have to like yours. The glare on the glasses is getting me again. Things that you can't do. You can't do threatening things. You can't threaten somebody. You can't threaten to do harm to something. You can't, there are certain things you can't do. That's legally in there. But I thought that was a deal. I think two things are going to happen. I think social media is going to take a nosedive, or other outlets are going to spring up and they're not going to be trying to publish and edit. They're going to be more of a deal, because What I do whenever I find something that I really don't agree with, I just quit reading it and go on to the next thing. I read a lot of stuff and I just sit there and think, and that's like at the end of this video, going to get into some thoughts that I have on why certain things are going on, why certain behaviors are going up, and why certain actions and certain things are happening across the country. Before that, let's get else into this. According to the Wall Street Journal, meat will remain pricey. Packing plants are opening back up, not at 100%. Pork is down 7% from last year. Like I said, that's an article from the Wall Street Journal. That gets me thinking, what happened to all the pork and beef that's not on the shelves? What did these guys have to destroy their livelihood because something was supposedly going around or whatever? FDA, this is from the Washington Post. Ingredients no longer to be on a label, or they are loosening their guidelines. Oh, we'll get into that one in a minute. So that one came from the Washington Post. Hadn't got into that. That one kind of caught my attention towards here, and I just didn't have time to get into it. There's a guy on there on YouTube called the Ice Age Farmer. He's got probably a 30-40 minute video on there. Might want to go check that out. Study finds, it's a news source, first human trial possible for the COVID vaccine, triggers rapid immune response. Well, that's kind of curious, because then in Reuters, it's a major news source. U.S. secures 300 million doses of possible vaccine from AstraZeneca. I hope I said that right. That's a cost of $1.2 billion. So they're going to come up with a billion of these vaccines. The U.S. government's already secured 300 million of them as soon as they come out and hit the market. It's kind of funny they want 300 million when there's, oh, wait a minute, the last census said there was 300 million people in the country. Things that make you go, Of course, I think outside the box. I don't think that people have my best interest in their interest. I think that they have their best interest in their interest, and my interest sometimes takes a well, it's just not good for my interest, we'll put it that way. Oh yeah, what's going on? The last couple of weeks I got in a big debate with a guy on Facebook, and he says, have you ever heard the phrase, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? And I kept hearing that phrase, and I'm like, yeah, there's a reason it's a phrase, okay? It's somebody's opinion. So I got to doing some research, and it was really, really funny when I tracked all that down. Who said that search? You know, was it Lenin? Was it Stalin? Was it some progressive or liberal, I mean, far out there that this country needs to be in socialism, that I don't agree with, kind of, you know, where did this come from? Actually, by the time you track it down, it come from a movie called Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Leonard Nimoy's character Spock said it. It was the first time it was ever announced in anything. It didn't come from a philosopher. It didn't come from this big deal. It was written into a script by somebody writing a movie. And everybody's taking that like that should be a political theory. That's scary, okay? That goes as to our liberties. Okay. There's a lot of people exercising their liberties today clear across the country. That's great. You have the constitutional right to do that. I'm proud of you. Do it, but do it right. And by doing it right, the first thing is you exercise your liberties without trampling on my liberties. So don't be blocking the roads. Don't be destroying nothing. Don't be setting fires. Now, I'm not saying all people during the protest, doing their freedom of gathering and the right to protest is doing that. I'm just saying everybody has that right. Once you exercising your liberties infringes on my liberties, which, since I have the job driving a truck, which means one of my liberties is freedom of travel without restriction, now you're trampling on my liberties, and there's a problem with that, and that's where it actually gets into a big legal deal. And a lot of people think that they can shut down the highways and it's perfectly legal, and it's not. And here's my opinion on this. If you're going to protest, do it right. If you're going to break the law in your protest, you're no better than a dirty cop, and you need to be prosecuted. Another thing that goes into that is all these anti-fascist people going out there. So, okay, let's break it up. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary puts that as a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and race above the individual, stands for criticized autocratic government headed by a dictator leader, by severe economic and social regiment, which means severe economic and social hardships. We're going through some economic hardships, okay? Also, forcible suppression. So that means if I don't agree with you and you want to beat me up for that, that could fall into that. All right. Now, so I got a little curious on that. So I'm like, all right, where did fascism actually come from? Fascism was actually founded by Mussolini in Italy in 1950. 1915. In 1919, it came up to be the national fascism movement, and then in World War II, he actually signed a pact with Hitler. So if you want to travel down that road, I'm not going to agree with it. So why do I look at that? Because we're hearing stuff about Antifa again, which is supposed to be anti-fascist. By the way, the meaning of that is the opposition of fascism. I'm not enforcing my will forcibly or what I believe everybody should be doing by force of means or causing economic hardship or anything to anybody. But things have gone on really, really weird with that. So, again, let's try to use and exercise our liberties and do them right, because here's what's going to happen. Minnesota, they went up there burning autos down with fireworks. You know how many states outlaw fireworks because of fires? Guess what you got coming? See it in the future. Oh yeah, them fireworks you like to set off 4th of July? Mm-hmm. Going to be like Pennsylvania and some other states out there. Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. Hey, here's a pull tab pop thingy, because we don't need no fires setting. Setting cars on fire and all that stuff with them. No. Heard some real disturbing new stuff on Fox. Was it Fox News? I can't remember. It was sent to me in a video. A guy was asking people, and people come over, and they're like, if people need to die through this to get stuff out, okay. As it was stated on one deal, one crime does not offset another crime. And in my book, one crime is no better or no worse than another crime. Stealing is just as bad as murder. Okay, the Bible says that, and whenever you do it, you do it. Now, this all comes up to a deal, and if a lot of people go on, this is where my questions come on with the whole Minneapolis, Minnesota deal with George Floyd. Sad deal. Them cops need to go through the Justice Department, and trust me, they're going to find out. Body cams, street cams, people recording it. Should have been fired. They're doing an investigation. Now they're arrested. I was reading an article this morning. One's been in 2 jails now. He's in a state prison awaiting his first arraignment. From what I've seen on the news and some of these guys, what were they supposed to do? Take them down to the closest oak tree and string them up? If the roles was reversed, we'd have a whole different situation going on, because then it would be going on. And by the way, it wasn't 4 white cops. It was a white cop, a Chinese cop, a Latino cop, and a black cop. That's all proved. You got to sit there and look at it, and you got to do some homework on it, but there's the 4 main cops. So, yeah, terminated. They all 4 need to be arrested. The one guy that had his knee on his neck has been charged with 3rd-degree murder and manslaughter, so that's 2 different charges. Where's the other three at? Accomplices. Okay, they need to charge those accomplices for murder, accomplice in murder too, and anybody that was around them that was in a blue uniform that let it go on needs to be charged as an accomplice, and that's how I honestly feel. Now, on the other hand, all you idiots out there saying you're protesting, you're burning stuff down, we need to gather up all this footage, and the cops need to come down, do their investigation, track you down, and charge you for the same crimes that you have committed of theft, arson, destruction of property, and everything else that goes on. You're no better off than them dirty cops. And like I said, dirty cops. I don't feel it was a race thing. I don't feel it was an intentional thing. I feel it was a dirty, power-hungry cop. They're all over the country. So on that right, yes, please protest, get out and stand your ground, do it right. Do not be breaking the law, because it don't help your cause. Why should an officer come down there and help you out when you're going to destroy the area that he's trying to protect and protect you? All right, so back to the George Floyd deal. It all started over. He was accused of passing counterfeit money. Okay, that is a felony. It's a federal crime. Like I said, he was accused of it. They were doing some stuff of it. There was a release report this morning saying, according to the body cam coverage and another camera off the street, there was a slight scuffle before he was on the ground and handcuffed. Okay. Once a man's handcuffed, he's pretty much detained. If he's not fighting, you get your knee off his ass. Okay. That's what goes on there. We've done covered that. Got a guy pulling up. Nope. He's just driving by. Thought he might come after me. Nope. The other guy's still behind me. Insider released this morning that George Floyd autopsy says no signs of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. Now, his family has been very calm in this, and I have their complete respect, because they've called for the protest, but they said do it right, no violence. They're going to have a second autopsy done to see, because of course that's done by the medical examiner, which works for the state. And you know, I understand everybody covering their T's, and they're fully within their rights to do that. Now what gets me is we've got people burning stuff down in 41 states. Now why is that? I don't know. Kind of curious on how this kind of took over like wildfire. I honestly don't believe it's a race thing. I believe it's a dirty cop thing. But you got LA riot going on. You got people in DC, Washington, DC rioting. We got Walmarts in our state of Oklahoma closing down because of planned protest. And they're like, literally, stores are shutting down and barricading the entry. You're infringing on my liberties. Go protest, do it right. Matter of fact, McAllister, Oklahoma Walmart said they were closed till further notice. Don't know when that notice is going to be up, but to me that just seems a little too obvious. I think this has been planned. I think it was set up. I think they were just waiting for an opportunity, and the deal with George Floyd was the match that lit the fire. On that same note, a guy in a gas mask walked up and broke the AutoZone window in Minneapolis, and that's what kind of took off with the whole fires and stuff like that. So, dude in the gas mask, here's what I got to say. I hope they find you, and I hope they throw your ass in jail. Pardon for the language. Another thing is now this is all over the news, so it's kind of like, whew, COVID's gone, we got riots in the streets. All right. You guys not understand that pretty sure every governor has the right to issue martial law due to civil unrest. Everybody wants to sit there and see Trump jump in. Well, here's what Trump said. Article 10 of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights says the states have state rights and they need to govern themselves. And that's what he's doing, and everybody's throwing a fit at it. Well, not everybody's throwing. I love the idea. Let the states handle it. That's their deal. To get, the Fed don't need to be in there dicking around. Now there comes a point in time that yeah, if the states don't get their stuff together, the government and the feds need to step in and say, all right, here's what we're going to do. And if that happens, y'all's going to wish to God y'all to acted right. I'll promise you that. Really kind of concerning there. So the next little question is, what's going on behind the scenes? What's going on that nobody pays attention to? Oh, well, I can't pull up the picture on my phone, but there's another stimulus bill going on that they're wanting illegals to have immunity. They're wanting all this stimulus money going out. There's no such thing as free money. It's going to cost everybody something. Are you want to sell your soul for $1,000? Because that's the point that I get it at. Back to changing gears here. The WHO, the World Health Organization, says that they may have to remove family members over this COVID deal. And the reason I'm going back to this is because all these protesters are not following social distancing. Okay, I think it was a load of crap for that guideline to come out anyway. I think the mask guideline's another full of crap, which I just read an article before I got out and did some work on the truck to get it ready to get to the unload zone. Is 19-year-old girl's in the hospital. She's in the hospital for wearing a mask. It's made her sick. She's got an infection on the top outside of her lungs from breathing carbon dioxide because she's wearing a mask. People making the guidelines like, oh, you have to do this. No, you don't have to do it. It's a guideline. Now, I will admit that some things go on about stuff like that, and it is what it is, but hey, there's that. So with that and all these people not following social distancing, I guess we're going to find out on how true and explosive and contagious this stuff is. It's either going to blow up and take off, or it's going to be nothing big and then everybody's going to look like a fool. Because you know what? They're not social distancing. You're not out of the woods yet, according to Dr. Fauci and everybody else. They're not wearing their mask unless they're doing something shady. I'm not going to say committing a crime. I'll just say something shady, and that's just my opinion. And other than that, but again, hope y'all have a great, lovely day, evening, whatever time this video gets out. I'm going to try to throw some links down there in the bottom of it with the lappy top here in a minute. It looks like they're coming to get the second truck. So we love y'all. Oh, again, love everybody. Thank you again for subscribing. Phone said 51 the other day. Got in there on the laptop, it said 50. So I don't know, there's somewhere near 50 subscribers. It's great. Got to looking at something because I found I can sit there and say how many people's watching this and watching that. It says that 45% of people watching our videos aren't subscribed. So please, if you're not subscribed and you're watching videos, please like, share, hit the button. We're trying to get better at this. I am learning. It does take time. I know I don't have all the fancy camera that the big guys do, but again, they've got 60 or 70,000 subscribers. They're getting 30,000 views of video. They've got a little extra money they can throw that way. So we're working on it. Appreciate the patience. We love y'all. Have a blessed day.